I think the big takeaway, at least initially, and we're still waiting to see the full report, because what we're getting so far is a combination of reports from stringers who were there at the press conference in Ethiopia a couple of hours ago, as well as comments from Ethiopian authorities in a very broad general sense. We want to see more of the details. But the overall takeaway here is what we reported and confirmed independently yesterday is that the pilots, at least initially, followed the procedures that Boeing laid out in order to how to disable the MCAS anti-stall technology within the airplane shortly after takeoff. Then they, for some reason, inexplicably, turned it back on shortly before the crash, which made the situation that much more dire, if you will, for the pilots. We need to see exactly what happened. And what happened in terms of the angle of attack sensors on the plane. There are reports that they're saying during the press conference today that there was no damage to either of those sensors. Those are the sensors that feed the data into the MCAS software system. My understanding is that one of those sensors that fed the data in may have been damaged at takeoff, potentially from a bird strike, which would explain why MCAS malfunctioned, if that's what happened here. So we need to see some details here.
The black box details have not been handed over broadly. This is just
correct.
The Ethiopian authorities. So where is all this other information of other people saying, oh, there was a bird strike, the pilots were actually doing this? Where's all that other information coming from?
It's coming from people who have been fed data, who have been fed an analysis, at least initially, from the Ethiopian authorities or from authorities in Europe who downloaded the black box data. So as that has circulated within the aviation community, some of these details have come out. That's why people were hoping this morning that they would say, here you go. Here's what we have in terms of an actual initial report. What we have so far is a press conference. So it's
the Mueller report.
Right. I want to see some details there. And I think a lot of people want to see some details here.
But it means it's not going to go to rest. We're not going to know for over a year.
No. And you saw what the FAA said late yesterday, that they are forming a technical review committee of, along with NASA, foreign aviation authorities, to review any software fix. This is getting slow-rolled, if you will. They're going to take their time looking at it.
So part of the training a pilot's supposed to get is if there is some type of externality, like a bird strike, and
that's separate. That brings into the question, why was false data or bad data being fed into the system?
Well, let's say there was a bird strike. Is there a procedure with that system where you, if it's malfunctioning because of the sensor is messed up, do you turn it off? Are you told to just turn it off completely?
Part of the training is to understand when the MCAS anti-stall technology is pulling the nose of the plane down.
Right.
Remember, they put an airworthiness directive out in November. If you're a pilot, you are supposed to do X, Y, and Z to disable the system and manually control.
What if it keeps turning back on?
Well, once you disable MCAS, that should not be an issue. Correct.
Even if there's something else.
The sensor question gets to why was false data or bad data being fed into the system. That is separate from how the pilots react.
One is whether the sensor works at all, and if the sensor is not working properly, what you're supposed to do about it.
Correct. And by all accounts, what we're hearing out of Ethiopia is that the pilots, at least initially, followed the procedures that Boeing had laid out in November following the Lion Air crash.